So
the four cops got arrested, and what the first cop, I don't know his name, but the white guy with the hairline,
Derek Chauvin, whatever.
There we go. His third degree murder charge was upgraded to a second degree murder charge, and people are kind of upset with that because they're looking for first degree, where first degree is not enough evidence to give him first degree, and even if they did charge him, he would get off. So second degree is more suitable for what he got going on. It's criminal negligence.
Mm-hmm.
And he killed someone in the process of detaining someone.
Because that's how George Zimmerman got off. They did it for first degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to charge him with what he's supposed to be, what he's purposely charged for, so it sticks.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel about this? The fact that 4 of these officers were arrested, and they the 3 officers got their bail set at like close to 75, was it $500,000?
I think so.
It's up there. It's up there.
Yeah. I'm glad that they got arrested. I just, like I said, I'm just hoping that their charges turn to convictions.
Yeah. So, and that's where we're at right now. I think if people continue to bring this topic up or bring this conversation up, it's not only going to influence jurors, because you want unbiased jurors, but I feel like the videotape that was present that went viral it shows clear as day, because certain times in the court of law, you could use video footage and have a different narrative to it, to where it might not seem as what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But this one seems clear as day. It shows that the officer is staying on this man's neck for about 9 minutes,
mm-hmm.
right? And we have other officers who asked a question and did not proceed to take that man's knee off his neck, right? He was like, should we do it? You allowed this man to take someone else's life. So,
and he beat him up in the car before.
Yeah. So there is evidence that's going to show that the officers didn't do their due diligence, they didn't do their job properly, and killed someone, and other officers watched while that happened. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where we're at in the situation right now in terms of social issues, and I'm glad that we're here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, like I was saying earlier on the podcast, there's a lot of other issues that did pop up, and it's kind of hard. I want to be really quick and brief with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I brought up, now everyone is on this train of exposing races, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember how last week I had brought up the conversation is everyone's just getting this type of, lust for just exposing racist conversations and all of that, because we live in a very tattletale culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's just putting stuff out. Even Star Jackson is put on Twitter and was like, hey, just send me any racist conversations and I'm exposing them on Twitter, like as if that is some cool shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to break this down a little faster. I was watching this YouTube video and it's like, okay, we as maybe a minority, black people,
mm-hmm.
are getting pleasure or taking small victories from these little racist conversations to try to get these people fired. But like I said last week, these people are white. If you're exposing racist white people, the saying is they're white, they'll be all right, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could deactivate, their Twitter account. They can get fired from that job. And what I said, you can maneuver through North America, Europe effortlessly and start over again. Because you're white, you'll be all right. So they can start over again in a different position and still be able to have a great living, and probably go back on Twitter with maybe a troll account and continue to even do what they're doing before, but maybe even at a higher point, because you're no longer able to identify them, right?
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying, but I still go back to what I said last week when we spoke about this, in terms of like, if you take down these racist people, because you can't necessarily take down the system all at once, it's like it's still going towards a bigger picture, because it's taking them down one by one. And if we look at, for example, with the Amy Cooper video, the Karen in the park in New York, when she called the police African American in the park, whatever, the guy who said to put her dog on a leash, they've now, Andrew Cuomo, I don't know how to say his last name, but I think you got it right. The governor, he now has put in place a law that makes it illegal for you to say you have an African American or whatever it is on the phone. So I think it comes down to that. Like, that was exposing that lady for being racist, and it got a policy put in place. which I think is
Yeah,
important.
exactly. But I think that's a unique situation that we saw. Not in terms of unique, but it was caught on camera and it was able to make into a bill, right? In terms of now you exposing the private conversations that you had with someone inside the DMs or a text message, and you're trying to put that out there on the internet, as that's not going to create a bill. It's not going to create a text message app where racist words will now be, gone to your telecommunication company and be held
Somebody
against
might
you.
just take this idea and do that.
Fuck then. Oh man, fuck. A lot of shit's fucked up after that. I'm not even gonna be texting people no more. Fuck that. If that happens, fuck that. I'm not texting no more.
I understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying because it is excessive.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, everybody has their own views. Like
Yeah.
we said last week, if you're racist, obviously we don't want you to fuck with us. We're not going to force you to fuck with us.
Yeah.
But everyone has their views. There's people you talk to every day who support Trump, but you just don't know that because it's not written on their forehead. It's something they internalize, right? So I understand what you're saying. It's getting a bit excessive, but yeah, that my perception on it is just that, like, at the end of the day, it's working towards hopefully changing policies in order to make the system better.
Yeah. I mean, and I say that to say this. In terms of not only exposing racists, a lot of people got on the internet to now dig up old tweets of just regular people. Motherfuckers who just wake up down the street. They just digging up old tweets on other people and getting at them and trying to cancel them over maybe homophobic tweets. These are just regular people. Regular people within, like, maybe black people as well, having colorist tweets that are being brought up from 2012.
I've seen some like that, yeah.
And I'm like, damn, these motherfuckers don't even have like 1,000 followers. Like, what are we doing here?
That and not for nothing,
and also abusers,
sexual abusers, yeah. Not for nothing, but 8 years, people do change. Yeah. Their opinions change.
Yeah.
The one thing that is always constant in the world is change.
Yeah.
Like, I will use Chris Brown as an example. He beat Rihanna and everyone went nuts. But the guy really did a full 360 and changed. 180. Yeah, sorry, 180. 180.
He's back the same person.
Sorry. He did a 180 though, and that is my biggest example to go to for a change. Yeah. I know people in my life personally who've completely changed their lives. Right. So people do change. Opinions change. People realize they fucked up or they were immature when they were younger and stuff like that, So yeah, I think it's interesting.
Okay. All right, and quickly, people are now pushing this whole defund the police. I just want to be quick because we still got.
We only have like 2 minutes left. Yeah.
So people are pushing this whole defund the police because they want to take the allocated money that goes towards the police organization and put it into other communal organizations around, like, black facilities or educational systems. For that, let's just quick. Do you support defunding the police?
Yeah.
Okay. Me, not so much. I don't necessarily feel like defunding I asked this question: is defunding the police going to stop them from kicking our ass? And if it's a no, then I feel like we need to find another way.
I don't think it's going to stop them from choosing to kill black people or being racist towards black people, because like we saw with Derek, he literally killed George with his knee. But for the others, in terms of like getting shot and stuff, defunding could also mean less access to guns. Maybe, I don't really know how the police works, to be honest with you, but like less access to certain weapons and things like that. I just think it's really unfair and crazy how funded the police is compared to the education system. Like, I have friends who, like, I didn't know that, like, teachers had to buy like crayons and shit themselves. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they get like a budget, but I think they get a budget. Yeah. And then I think they get reimbursed.
Like my friends, and then my friends were telling me, like, one of my friends is a teacher and she was telling me how she buys like certain things for her classroom, and I'm like, what the fuck? I would never.
This has been around since I was in school.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. And I was like, oh shit. Like, so that's really crazy to me.
Also, do you feel like the message from the initial protest has changed and warped as to where we're at right now?
Kind of, sort of, in a sense.
Here. I agree with you. I honestly feel like it went one way, and now it's like there's just a lot of, they're asking for a lot. Not to say there's wrong asking for a lot, but I think if you're trying to follow along, you might have lost your way because you're now confused, or there's just way too much information to intake, and you just don't feel like you're able to follow along properly.
Yeah, and I
Which
think
is
the
probably
message
truly the same
is
thing.
still somewhat intertwined. Like first
Yeah,
it was to end police brutality and Black Lives Matter, and now it's also about anti-racism as a whole.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what else is there? All right, so people feel very emotionally and mentally drained after these last few weeks in terms of the amount of social media presence, a lot of bombardment of information, and a lot of in-house fighting as well.
Mhm.
How do you feel being a person that's on the social media, seeing what's going on? Do you feel emotionally drained, mentally drained?
I'm not gonna lie, I felt very overwhelmed last week or
Yeah.
the week before last week.
Hmm.
Um, because of the industry that we're both in, I had to repeat the same stuff and like constantly stay up on my research about the whole ordeal
Yeah.
because I'm talking about it on my swing shift. I'm talking about it with you. I'm talking about it on hashtag.
Yeah.
So imagine like 3 times a week. Like I get it. Like that's not like compared to what is actually happening to Black people and like how they have to face this every single day. It's completely different. I'm not knocking that or not acknowledging that, but it was definitely very overwhelming for me at one point where it was just like I was getting really depressed like going on social media. Like I didn't want to go on it anymore, but
Yeah.
like I had to because of what I do. So yeah, it was definitely very overwhelming for myself. What about you?
No, to be honest, no.
Mhm.
No. I live by my whole philosophy where this is not necessarily draining to me. It's very entertaining. Not to
Mhm.
say that I was entertained like in a happy way, but
Mhm.
I was intrigued. I was like, okay, I see what's going on. I'm seeing different things. I'm monitoring, I'm observing, I'm seeing how people are intaking this because certain people, I guess, internalize certain things. I'm not necessarily internalizing the same way
Mhm.
people may have, internalize it. Just because I feel like the perception on the social media is a lot different from what outside. I'm outside. A lot of people can't say the same thing about themselves. But I'm gonna let you have the last word, and we can just wrap it up right here. Anything else you want to share?
No, I guess a lot of my overwhelmingness, if that's a word, in the beginning came from
Yeah,
like, because when I used to scroll past all that stuff and just like seeing everything and seeing videos of young kids like being confused and stuff, I don't know. It just that for me, that kind of hit a soft spot like that first week. And like I would literally not cry, but like a 1-2 tear would come out of my eye, like because I would think about like I don't know, like you or like my other Black friends or my boyfriend or like
yeah,
whatever. And just like the fact that like you're literally a target because of the color of your skin, like that breaks
yeah,
my heart to think of people like that. But I know personally are good people, but simply because the way the color of your skin is portrayed in media, it just makes them a target. And I think that's what was really upsetting me at first.
yeah.
So yeah,
Very unfortunate times that we live in, but I'm gonna stay optimistic.
yeah.
And moving forward, I'm going to be the change that I want to see in the world. And I think that's the best thing I can say, and that's the
Hmm.
best thing that others can say. Right?
Yes.
Not only just protest, but be the change that you want to see in the world.
Yeah.